Kiwi Yarns with Brodie Kane.
Kia ora te whānau, welcome to Kiwi Yarns. Today's guest is probably the most famous fisherman in all of Aotearoa. Matt Watson only ever wanted to be a fisherman, and the kid that used to drag his dinghy up a steep boat ramp for an hour walk home has made the thing he loves doing the most into a remarkable career. Matt Watson, thank you very much for coming on Kiwi Yarns.
Thanks for having me.
Apart from your bloody suitcase being in the Uber, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've been asked that quite a bit lately, and I've been answering never better. And that was just something that I used to hear my granddad say. So maybe that could be me getting a bit older. But no, I can't remember a time in my life I felt better.
That's great.
It is good.
My granddad used to say, wouldn't be dead for quids.
Yep, that was another good
Another one?
Yeah, that's another one.
I quite often say that, and people go, what? Sorry? I'm like, wow, listen to it. It means,
Yeah.
you know. Now, what's been happening? When was the last time you were on a boat? What was the last fish you caught?
Oh, geez, good question. Last time I was on a boat was last week, and the fish was a snapper. So that's pretty bog standard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just out in front of my house. The weather was terrible. I had a couple of keen lads, a couple of footy players actually came up, and they were frothing. And I said, "Look, boys, the weather's shit, but you can come up and we can drink some tins." And they turned up, and I was like, "Well, we can go out in the boat because I'm lucky I can launch right in front of my house."
Yeah.
And we went out, and as terrible as the weather was, just getting the energy of those boys and catching some snapper was great.
Yeah. What's your favourite or best recipe, or the way that just gets you? Is it a simple recipe when you're cooking your own fish?
Yeah,
like, what's the go-to?
everything I do is simple.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't call myself a chef or even a cook, but I know how to do seafood well, and that's letting the seafood be the star of the occasion. So you get it fresh, and not just that. Like I don't want to sound skitey here, but you know, I get enough fish to go, nah, look, that one's probably better off going back.
Yeah.
And that could be because of the size of it. It's a better breeding fish. And typically the bigger they are, they're not as good to eat. So, say in the case of your white flesh fish like snapper, you don't want the big ones. Really, the head's the only good bit to eat on a big snapper, in my opinion. But so you want to look at them, have they got good fat content, and then from that moment, from the moment you decide to kill them, it's how you kill them and how you look after them, and then eat the entire fish. And I've just got good at it over the years, and I eat all the bits, and I don't do a whole lot to them. Like I like on a kingfish or a kahawai or a tuna, I'm starting to eat it as I'm filleting. Like I just eat it as it is, straight off the fish, and I've always done that. It weirds people out, but both my kids are the same. They'll do it because they've seen me doing it. They've grown up that way, just like I was brought up that way. So yeah, I don't do too much. Raw tuna would be my favourite.
Yeah.
And if I had to cook a bit of fish, it would be probably like bass or harpooker, something deep sea fish with a decent amount of hinu or fat in it, and yeah, just fried.
Oh yeah. So you
fresh.
Do you know my favourite fish? I can't get it anymore because the little night market is closed down. But we used to go to these night markets in Kuta in Bali.
Yeah.
And they would get the fish from Jimbaran Bay, and so then there'd just be like this bucket of fish, and you'd pick one out, and it was just garlic butter and these little onions.
Yeah.
Just that. Unreal. Just
Yep.
simple way.
Yep, simple.
Anyway, now I will give you a disclosure though.
Okay.
I'm not much of a fisherman or fisherwoman or whatever you like to call me. Like it's sort of like me in fishing and me in golf. I haven't quite landed at those things. However, I love the ocean, everything about it.
Yep.
I love the beach. It's such a beautiful space. So I thought I'd declare that I know bugger all about fishing. But what I love about you and what's been brilliant is from afar watching. I don't care what it is. If you're watching someone from afar live out their dream, but also share a passion so enthusiastically with other people, you kind of do love the thing that they're doing, right? Because you're like, wow, look at this.
It draws you in, yeah.
So congratulations on an amazing career, but also I want to ask you, and this is probably a really overused question, but like if you're going deep into the bowels of your heart, what is the thing that you love so much about it? Like the most simple thing
It's the moments shared with other people.
Right.
So, and I've grown to understand that about myself, right? So I think when you're young, you're a bit more bull at the gate, and it's all about, I'm here to catch the biggest fish, to show you that I'm the toughest, strongest, best, caught one bigger than you. And there's no doubt that, you know, ego can be a big driver in fishing, and that's a natural thing for a young male in particular. You know, you're trying to make your claim, and so some of the things that I would do would be not only catch big fish, like you run out of big fish to catch, so I'd make it harder for myself. Okay, I'm going to catch a marlin off of a surfboard. You know, I'm going to go out and catch a giant shark on a child's inflatable raft. And like all of those things were funny and got lots of media attention, which were great for the business I was in, particularly at the time with Discovery Channel. But what I found, and I discovered this probably 10 years ago when I was getting probably a bit burnt out and disillusioned with it all, and I said to my wife, look, I'll just do one more year. This whole TV caper, it's too full on. I'd like to do just the bits I enjoyed. And she said, well, what do you enjoy? I said, I enjoy it when I take someone else out and they catch what I would consider maybe an average fish, or it could even be a good fish, but just the energy of other people. And then I realised, you know, like all of those moments where I've caught a marlin off of a jet ski or whatever, there's been no one there to high five.
Yeah.
You know, there might have been a camera crew on a boat, and it's not the same. It's still good to have them there because they're mates as well. But when you're there, and I've had someone repeat back to me so many times, that was the greatest day of my life, thank you. And that's a real honour to be a part of someone having an experience they consider to be one of the greatest days of their lives. So, yeah, so to answer your question, if I'm digging right in there, it is the moments I've shared with other people, and if not for that act of fishing, like going into something challenging, and they've gone through all of these things that I've been through, like anxiety, exhaustion, you know, the big adrenaline dump, the endorphins that come after it when you've secured this fish which is going to feed a village. So, and living vicariously through them, it just lifts me, and it brings back all of those things to me of why I did it in the first place. So yeah, it's the people.
And I think what I love hearing about that, and it's, you know, I'm not really into fishing, but I can already completely relate to that part of it.
Yeah.
So I know that I can relate to that with running with people, you know, or seeing someone that has told me I don't like running, and then they start running, and then they like running. You know, like it's that whole thing of it being, it's actually not necessarily the activity, it's that camaraderie, right?
Yeah.
Which we're crying out for.
We are, yeah. Well, I mean, the way that communication's done, I look at my kids, it's separating people, communication, whereas, you know, I don't think there's probably anything more pure as, I mean, because we're a social animal, right? Is going out to gather food together. It's what we've done for eons. And so we're genetically predisposed to get on with each other, because if you're in a moment back in the day where you had to catch that deer or that big fish or something so your village could survive, if the guys weren't getting on and working closely together and sharing that experience, they wouldn't get the food, and we all die because there's no food. So there's actually like an innate predisposition for us to be more close and share more together when we're out in pursuit of food. And then when we do get it, your body actually releases endorphins to say, you've done well, I want you to do that again. Go out and do it tomorrow. Because if it felt bad, you went, oh no, the poor fish, oh my God, what am I going to do? That poor thing's died. I mean, I'm not saying I don't respect the fish, I absolutely do. But they're our food, and that's why it feels so good, and the whole camaraderie piece that goes with it. I
mean, and also you're out in the fresh air and in nature, and, you know, we always joke about like go out there and touch the grass type thing, but the side of it for your heart and your head is sort of, you can't put a value on that, eh?
No, you can't, and I think that's overlooked, and the effect that has on us as a society and us as a nation. So, you know, I've been really fortunate to travel around the place with my work, and I'm always fascinated to know, like most New Zealanders are, what people from outside New Zealand think about New Zealand. I think it's a big hang up with Kiwis, you know, like, oh, we're down here, do you think we're cool?
Yeah.
And you hear, I mean, if you were to look at New Zealand's marketing playbook, it's like we've got these beautiful mountains and ski fields and nice wine and some amazing fashion designers. Well, guess what? So does every other country in the world. You know, Europe's got pretty good wine and mountains and all those things. The biggest asset we've got is our people.
Yeah.
And when I ask people, like, what do you like about New Zealand? Oh, the people are amazing. And then when I have a chance to drill into that, they say, you guys have got just this really cool disposition about you. And we went to this place and we ended up meeting with this family and they were going to get some mussels, I think you call them, off the rocks. And we came with them and we ate them straight away. And their minds were blown. And I've done a bit of thinking about it. And I think that the very fact that we can go to the source of our food still to this day, you know, you and I could walk out of here and within a very short drive, we could get enough food and we could have a meal together. And I think that affects your disposition. So it is the fresh air piece and we're working together, but we've gone to the source of our food. And I think not every Kiwi does that. A lot of us live in urban areas, but you're getting given some home kill beef, or someone's been hunting and you got some wild boar or some venison, and you understand where your food comes from. And I think that affects our disposition. And somehow that gets recognised from people that don't do that and understand it. And they go, there's this thing, you guys are just earthy and you're in touch, and it was just normal to go into the sea and pull some things off the rocks and eat them, and you didn't even go to the store. So I think that's, if we lose that, we kind of lose our identity and we just become a little bit more close to every other Western culture.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful point, because like you're making me think about all these beautiful memories, like going down to Otaki Beach with Grandma and sitting there trying to get pippies. Yeah. And there's this photo of me sitting in the pippy bucket at the end of the day, sucking the salty water. Yeah. You know, like that's so entrenched in our psyche.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like you say that the pippies, they're great to eat, but it's an adjunct to doing something as a family and with your mates. And that's what fishing is to me. It's an adjunct to an adventure. Mate rings up and says, oh, the weather forecast is looking good, let's go and catch some snapper. A great white shark could come along, a giant black marlin could come along. And it's, to me, it's one of the last true adventures. You can go bungee jumping, sure, that's exciting, but it's controlled, and you're going to be going in the same, you know, when you go out on the ocean, and let's not forget it does come with some dangers, so you should, you know,
be careful.
Yeah, take some responsibility.
Yeah.
But you actually don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Particularly when you go out in the salt water, anything can come along. So in modern society, there's not many things you can do if you're living in an urban area, like hook your boat on, go down, put it in the water and go out into the sea and catch some food. And yeah, you might get the 5 snapper you're after, but you might get a big kingfish, or, you know, you might see a shark. You might see the most beautiful sunrise with orca. You know, all of these things can happen if you're out experiencing things that you're not going to get if you go to the mall.
Are you someone that has always been this way, or have learnt to lean into it? Are you someone that enjoys, like, I mean, we're adults and we like comforts and we like to enjoy life and whatnot. Yeah. But are you someone that thrives or enjoys sitting outside your comfort zone, and have you always been that way?
Yes. Yeah. I have always been that way. In fact, I kind of didn't really understand what a comfort zone was. I've always been the sort of person that says, I have an idea, I want to do that, and yes, I'm aware there's things that are going to make that difficult, but I can only see the ways that it can, and that's got me in trouble a bit. But I wouldn't be sitting here today if I'd really weighed up all of the things that could have gone wrong and taken them really seriously, if you know what I mean. And yeah, there's been, gosh, I couldn't tell you how many times I've sat there and gone, shit, what have I done? You know, it's like I'm way out of my depth here. But yeah.
I mean, if we go back to the little mate dragging the dinghy up the ramp in Weymouth, like, it was a big part of your family from day dot.
Yeah.
Are they vivid childhood memories, like that dinghy?
Yeah, absolutely. So the earliest memory in my life that I can remember, I was not quite 4 years old, and my mum and dad had this little dinghy, didn't have much money, and went out from Weymouth, where I grew up, and I'd been given a sprat rod for Christmas, and I can't remember getting it, but Mum tells me I slept with it on my bed. It was like my favourite possession, and I'd already caught a few fish off the wharf, some sprats, and I don't remember that. But what I remember is being on the dinghy and hooking this fish, and I felt it was going to get torn out of my hands. And they say that your earliest memory is often something traumatic, and it was for me, because I was shit scared. I was like, here's this favourite thing of mine. I've got this giant monster on the end of it's going to rip it out of my hands. I don't think I can do it. Mum and Dad said I was welling up and starting to cry. And I just remember Dad saying, I wanted to give Dad the rod because, you know, he's going to be able to pull this giant fish in. And Dad said, no, you can do it. And I started whining, and then I turned around to make sure they were looking after me, and Mum and Dad were pissing themselves laughing. And I could not believe that they didn't see the gravity of this life and death battle that I was in. And I vividly remember Dad getting the net underneath the fish, and I wanted more than anything in the world for that fish to be inside the boat to complete the catch. And I remember looking at it, the yahooing, and I also remember that night Dad just giving me a tap on the shoulder and saying, oh, our dinner is the fish you caught, and just feeling my chest puff out, you know, like I've caught the fish today that we're eating. And so, yeah, and that is literally my earliest memory, and all of my firsts, you know, like my first kingfish, all of those things that I experienced at a young age, I remember them vividly. More vivid than, an example was, met a guy at a function I was at recently, and he was on one of the charter boats that I worked on. He was like, oh, I remember that day when you were a deckhand and we caught 12 marlin that day. I couldn't remember the day. You know, and for a lot of it, 12 marlin a day is a lot. But I remember that first snapper and that, you know, so they're just etched in my brain.
Do you think, like, I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but what are some ways people can be good? Like, is it something that you can't just say, hey, I'm going to buy a fishing rod? Like, do you think to be a good fisherman, there has to be something a bit more in the heart and in the soul?
Oh, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with anything, there's a saying, it goes something like, you're the best at the things you love the most.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I've always loved fishing.
Yeah.
But there's been countless people I know, like including my younger brother. He didn't have an interest in fishing until he was like 30, and now he's obsessed with it.
Right.
Okay, and it's to a point where he's messaging me all the time, hey, this lure or that lure. I'm just like, it's on our free app. Just go and watch the video, you know, like. So to answer your question, there's a lot of free information out there now. I mean, YouTube is one, and not to do too much of a plug, but we've got a free app where I'd step people through, like, this is your basic knot, and this is how to do it, largely because I want people to have access to it. I was hit up by a journalist once because it's quite well known, all of the you know, the fishing management advocacy and environmental stuff that I'm involved in, and they said, isn't it counterintuitive you encouraging people to get into fishing because they're going to take more fish? And to that I say, well, only 4% of the fish that come out of New Zealand waters are caught by recreational anglers. The other 96% are taken commercially. Okay, and if someone goes out and catches their own fish, they're not buying it from the shop. Yeah. Okay, and there's a number of benefits from that. First off, when you catch it with hook and line, the fish you kill is the only fish that gets killed. If it gets caught in a bottom trawler, there's a whole lot more getting killed, dumped overboard, seafloors getting destroyed. So there's that point. But the main thing there is, all of a sudden you've given people a reason to go to the ocean, go, wow, this place is amazing, I want to look after it. You've given them a real tangible reason to care about it. So the way I see it, the more people that can go out on the ocean, and if they catch a fish and they're successful, they're more likely to do it again, they're more likely to take their family along, and it become this thing, and there's more people out there like me that love it and are prepared to, you know, do a bit of legwork to look after it.
Let's go there then now, your advocacy work, which is really important to you. And I always have huge respect for people that use their voice and their platform to raise awareness about conservation, like harmful practices like seabed mining. Can I ask you the overall, the overall state of commercial fishing in our waters. Let's just start with ours. Like, are we?
Or New Zealand's behind a lot of the world in some areas. Okay, particularly with our position on bottom trawling.
Yeah, that's shameful, right?
It is. It is. You're harvesting fish in a way that's actually destroying their habitat at the same time. It would be like a farmer, and I don't like the reference that with commercial fishing, how it's like farming. We're farming the sea. Well, no, because farmers put into their land. They fertilise it. They plant trees. They look up. So they're putting in to get protein out. Commercial fishing doesn't seed fish, it doesn't grow fish, it just takes.
Yeah.
And which is fine, and I'm not anti-commercial fishing, and I think it's important that I state that. I've still got an uncle that's a commercial fisherman. I come from a long line of commercial fishers, and the men and women that actually work out on the water care about it for the most part just like me, and that's why they do that job. Mm-hmm. It's the system that's in place and the big corporate quota holders that at the end of the day they are trying to take as much of it as they can for as cheap as they can.
Yeah.
And if it costs more to get rid of bottom trawlers, and it's easier to spend a bit of money on some politicians and some donations, they're going to do that rather than reform their practices and their fleets to bring them in line with the rest of the world. So our whole clean green New Zealand and the commercial fishing space, we are way out of step. We're selling fish to countries that banned bottom trawling a long time ago, and now you've got foreign supermarkets going, we're going to have to look at whether we take fish from New Zealand anymore because of what they're doing to the environment down there.
Oh.
I know, and it's and so your reaction there, that
that's yuck.
I know. So when I have this chat, and it usually comes up quite often at a restaurant, and it'll be a group of friends or friends of friends, people that and the waiter's coming around, and what do you want? And someone orders, and everyone says to me, "Oh, Matt, you'll be ordering the fish." I was like, the last thing I do is buy fish, I'm going
for the bloody duck, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And three people will at the table might order fish, and I'll go, "Did you guys ask how that fish is caught?" "Oh no, but I love snapper." Well, unless it says on the menu that it's line caught, it's probably been caught in a bottom trawler. Do you think bottom trawling's okay? No, it's abhorrent. Well, why are you supporting them? Why are you supporting that industry? So that's the first thing I would say to people. Unless the place you're buying it from can show you that it's line caught, and there's more than dozens, there's loads of long lining boats, men and women that work really hard to catch really high quality fish to supply the local market in New Zealand. But a lot of fish buyers will go, I just want the cheapest stuff that's been bulk hauled up in a net.
Yeah.
So, I think I couldn't imagine there would be anyone literally outside of the commercial fishing industry that use bottom trawlers that think, bottom trawling's cool. Well, don't buy their product.
Sorry. So you're telling? So I didn't know that. So I would, if I was to go to a restaurant, I should be, because I care about that.
Yeah.
I should be asking if it's line caught, and if it's not line caught, it's
order the chicken.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know
order
that.
And let it know and let it be known that that's why you're not buying the fish.
Okay.
Because unless you can show me that it's line caught, I don't want a part of this.
Yeah.
And then there's also like a lot of obviously climate change is a big thing. A little known fact, which I'm surprised doesn't get pushed forward more often, is that bottom trawling puts more carbon into the atmosphere than the aviation industry does.
That's crazy.
So even if you don't care about, even let's say you don't care about the sea floor and our marine habitat, which I think most Kiwis would, it's contributing a lot of carbon emissions.
So ultimately, if we are looking at, is the way we're going, though, I guess the fishing industry as a whole, maybe globally, it's not sustainable. And are we sailing towards running out of shit?
We are already. I mean, so right now it's the beginning of September. So normally now scallop season would be open. Now, it used to be something celebrated. I mean, there was even the Scallop Festival in Coromandel this year, and that would generate millions of dollars for the local community. Be something to look forward to every year. Yes, scallop season's coming around. You'd go out for a dive, you'd dive down, you'd get your 20 scallops, you'd share them with friends, and again, we're having those moments. It's not just about the scallops, which are great, but the scallops is a reason to get into the outdoors. Well, it's closed pretty much right across New Zealand because they use dredges to harvest them commercially and destroyed the very habitat that they need to regrow. So overseas, they've got successfully managed scallop fisheries where the commercial guys go down and pick them up just like the rec guys do. And yes, there has been some recreational dredging, but a lot of the recreational stores stopped selling scallop dredges, and it just became a thing. You know, like if you were out on the scallop beds and there was 20 boats diving and someone was dredging, like there was a bit of vigilante stuff. Guys were getting their dredges cut off underwater and stuff, which I won't pass comment on, whether I would do that or not. But it's here we all are. The commercial guys can't take them. The rec guys can't take them. You know, it's an important food source for iwi as well, for customary gathering. And now it's ruined for all of us. And we're making this sacrifice, and the beds are closed in the hope that they will come back. But already there's been proposals from the seafood industry for it to be reopened for commercial dredging only. So, and we've got a minister that would seriously do something like that.
We give farmers so much shit. Like farmers cop it all the time.
They do.
But and it's not that I'm not aware of these issues, because I have been really disheartened by the minister and anyway that's but what if you were the master of the ocean? What would you like? We just need way more regulation, right? Is the seafood lobby just super powerful?
They are powerful. They've got a lot of money, and I think the system has been designed to give them a proxy ownership of it. So, and I don't want to get too deep into it because it can be heavy shit. But basically, at the genesis of the quota system was like, okay, here's your share of the fishery. And I think it's really important to point out they didn't buy it. So quota wasn't bought in the beginning, it was given. Okay, and now they trade it amongst themselves. So that's where if a fisherman wants it now, he has to buy it off another fisherman. He has to pay for it. But it was gifted by the people of New Zealand, got it put into private hands. And in a very sad way, the ones that caught the most were given the most quota. So there were companies down at the top of the South Island there that weren't even into, say when snapper was going to come on quota. They had no snapper catch history, but they got a tip off, it's going to come into quota. And so we needed catch history. They were going out pier bottom trawling all of the snapper up. They had no market for it, and they were driving it straight to the tip. They were weighing it in trucks to prove how many tons they caught, and there's actually in the New Zealand Alexander Turnbull Library, there's photos of piles of snapper and stories in the newspapers of the stench going through Nelson at the time because of all the rotting, beautiful fish, and they were rewarded with millions of dollars worth of quota. And they were given so much because their catch history was so over-exaggerated for the effort they put in that too much quota was given, and then we had to buy it back off them. The people, and it would have actually bankrupt New Zealand at the time. So then they negotiated a right that whenever a fishery grows, they get more quota. Like it's that sort of madness, and people don't understand. They think, oh, well, the fishermen paid for the quota. Well, not originally. No, it was given to them. And you own those fish. I own those fish. The people of New Zealand own those fish. So I think we've got a pretty good case to be pretty annoyed with how it's being managed on our behalf.
I'm furious. I'm super furious. Like, this is disgraceful.
Yeah,
What?
It is.
So it needs a complete overhaul. It needs a complete...
It does.
Is that possible? You're just going to create some enemies?
It is possible. No, I mean, it's not about enemies. And yes, some people have been upset with my stance, and I'll repeat. I've never met a commercial fisher. Oh, no, I have a couple actually. but I've met wreck fishers I don't get along with either.
Yeah.
But like they're decent people that care about it, and they've got bills to pay. My issue is with the big companies, the corporates, and the system, the government, the Minister of Fisheries in particular, who is basically pandering to his political donors at the moment. Yeah. I know that got heavy.
Thank you. No, I think because I don't. As I said to you at the start, I love the ocean. I like to think that I'm respectful of it, and I don't like the direction and climate change and the damage that we humans are doing in every orifice of the bloody place, you know. But I have an awareness enough that I'm not a big fan of that system. But the things that you've just said have just, I guess I don't think about it often enough to be like, but now I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to every time I ask, because I love seafood, but I don't think I ask enough if it's been sustainably caught, you know?
No, exactly. And I mean, if you were to think, I mean, free range eggs are a norm now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas once upon a time, you would think that someone had to be a hippie to go and seek out free range eggs. Now it's the norm. Free range pork, you know, and it's because we've been educated. It's been put in front of us. So, well, thanks if this gets the word out a little bit more, because and yes, it's important to me, and I try and get it out there. But the difficult thing I've got to balance is that fishing, like for fishers, people who love fishing like me, it is their escape. They don't want to be thinking about the doom and gloom and all the things. People work bloody hard, 5 or 6 days a week. They finally get a day off. It's good weather. They want to go fishing. They want to be heading out and thinking, what am I going to catch? You know, what are we going to be able to eat for dinner tonight, boys? Having a few beers. They don't want to be thinking, oh, geez, we need to be writing letters to the minister. And so they don't. You've got to be careful to say to people, well, look, hey, this is a cool thing and we should be doing it. But, you know, if you're prepared to spend that much money on a boat, maybe you should be prepared to spend $100 a year to subscribe to Legacy that helps get good research and advocacy to give another voice against the commercial industry.
Thank you. No, I think thank you for us talking about that, because I think I'm going to think about it more than I have been. Yeah. You know?
And just ask where your fish came from, and hopefully we'll get to a place where there's mandatory labelling, just like there is for your eggs and your free range, to go, this fish is line caught, this is not. And at least people get the choice to say, well, just like you do with free range eggs, I'm not going to buy a fish that was caught in a bottom trawler.
Do you have an idea what the percentage of products are bottom trawl? Is it?
I would say the vast majority. I don't actually have stats off the size of my head, but I just know. I mean, I've done commercial fishing. I've worked on boats, and just seeing the volume you can get very quickly in a bottom trawl net compared to a longliner. But the quality's so. I mean, when you think there's like I say, the men and women that are working on these longline boats, they're getting up early in the morning, they're setting the gear in the dark, and they're pulling it in. Each fish gets handled with gloves. It gets killed instantly, so it's great. Goes straight onto ice. Now they're eating. That is as good as what I would do if I was out on my own boat. So the quality is a whole lot better than if it's been basically jammed in the back of a cod end at the back of the net, and a lot of it's getting crushed, and it takes a lot longer to sort through those fish. So, and they're not dying by getting spiked in the head and put straight on ice. It's all very much bulk harvest. They are refining their techniques, as far as I can understand, to look after the quality of the fish, but overarching all of that, it's what they're doing to the sea floor, because the organisms that live on the sea floor are the very thing that convert all the dead protein, so all the dead fish and all the dead zooplankton and stuff. It converts it back into food, and so it would be akin to a farmer pouring diesel on his grass after he's sent the stock off to the works and going, oh, why can't I raise any more cows here? Because all the grass is dead. So it is actual madness, the way of doing it. And the only reason that we can get away for it as long as we have is New Zealand just has such riches in our marine habitat. So we've got a lot of benthic zone. I don't want to get too scientific, but we've got lots of areas where you've got a sea floor where the sun can reach the sea floor, which helps grow food, whereas a lot of countries it's deep drop-offs into deep water, and we've got subantarctic water pushing a whole lot of food, mixing with subtropical water. Like, we are in the Goldilocks zone for a healthy marine environment, just by luck where we're sitting. Huge EEZ, and that, I guess, has allowed us to do a pretty shit job of it for so long, is that nature's propping us up, but nature's losing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because you've given me one change. I'm going to make a change.
Thank you.
And it is asking that question, and it's either that or it's nothing. I feel strongly enough that I can. I can do that.
Support our farmers. Buy some lamb.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that's from here.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit to a stint in your life where you were a roofer.
Yep.
Do you ever think, imagine if I was still a roofer? Do you ever have those moments where you're like, thank God I'm not a roofer?
No, I enjoyed roofing. It was physical outdoors work. I was playing rugby at the time. Mum had designs of me going to university, but I was actually always going to be a commercial fisherman, and I worked all of my weekends in school. So before I was a roofer, I was a commercial fisherman, and I worked all of my weekends and school holidays on my uncle's boats. And from the time I was about 15, I was getting my hours signed off so I could sit my skipper's ticket. And so by the time I finished high school, it was still called 7th form in those days.
Yep.
I think it might be year 13 now or something.
Yeah.
And I'd finished my bursary exams, and I'd done 3,500 logged commercial hours at sea. So I was going to sit my skipper's ticket, and I was going to skipper one of my uncle's mulleting boats. And that was, to me, dream. I just remember that summer of 92, finishing, and it was knowing that I was never going to sit another exam in my life. I hadn't told Mum that yet. She thought I was going to wait for my results, and she was just tossing up whether I was going to do law or medicine. I think that was Mum's design for me. Never mind, right? She actually wanted me to be the first male in her family in known history not to be a commercial fisherman. All of her brothers, dad, uncles, all commercial fishermen.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Mum wanted me to do, but it all came unstuck on Christmas Day. Ended up in a bit of a punch-up with my uncle who owned the boats over backyard cricket. Competitive family.
Tell me you're at a New Zealand Christmas without telling me.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right, yeah. I bowled him a beamer. It was accidental. I knew he couldn't face a fast Yorker, and I just tried to rip it in as hard as I could. Bowled him a beamer. Next thing I know, I'm getting hit with a cricket bat, and she's all in family brawl. But anyway, that's how I became a roofer, because one of my other uncles, or my auntie's boyfriend, was a roofer, and he said, there goes your fishing job, mate. Do you want to come work for me? And I honestly said, yep, I'm keen, and I didn't even know what he did.
Yeah.
But I knew he wasn't a university lecturer, so...
You were going to study law.
Yeah, and so I turned up a couple of weeks later, and he was a roofer, and I enjoyed it, and I became qualified roofer, and now my son's a qualified roofer.
Oh, there you
go.
That's classic. But you had an epiphany, a painful epiphany, right?
When I was roofing. Yeah.
When you were roofing,
yeah.
Which you went, hey, there's pain down here, but there's a sign that I need to go back to where I belong.
So we can go there.
We can go there
and tell the story.
Yeah.
That's funny side note. I actually told this story in my first ever interview.
Yeah.
Did you know my first ever interview was with David Letterman? I'd never been on breakfast TV. I'd never done I lie. I did the 1ZB fish chat thing at about 6:30 in the morning, where I got to do the fishing report for the Bay of Islands, and that was my one media bit of experience.
Yeah.
And I ended up telling, which is perhaps how you know about it. I've told it a few times though. But yeah, I was roofing. I was working 7 days a week, literally, because my goal was to be the hardest working roof tiler in Auckland, so I could save up and buy enough money to buy a boat. And at that stage, when I started that out, it was going to be commercial fishing, but I'd since discovered more recreational fishing. I had this dream I was going to buy a game fishing boat, and I was going to take people out in the Bay of Islands to catch marlin. And that's what got me working hard. And I'd been working, I think, like 50-odd days straight without a day off, and it was a beautiful summer's morning. It was a Sunday morning, and not a cloud in the sky. I pull up to site to put a roof on a house, and as I pull up, my mate Greg rings me and says, "Oh, we're going across the Manukau Harbour Bar. It's never ever been so calm. It's flat, and there's already guys on the radio hooking up to Marlin." And I'm thinking, "You bastard!" So, of course, I didn't need to listen to that when I've got a 10-hour day in front of me.
No.
So anyway, hung up on him, jumped up on the roof, and I was actually thinking, I wonder how they're getting on. I wonder if they've had any hookups yet. I wonder if there's any tuna around. And so I was actually daydreaming about being out there. But I should have actually been concentrating on where I was stepping, because I stepped off the edge of the roof because I was walking backwards, setting it out. It was 2 stories, but the good news is I didn't go all the way down. There was like a bit of guttering down below me, but I landed one leg either side of the guttering. And you don't actually need to be a guy to get this, but guys will understand more. The back edge of the guttering is undressed, so it was sharp metal, and boom, landed on it. I saw a lot of blood squirting out on the roof. Thought, okay, I'm bleeding from down there somewhere. And I used to run the rugby shorts because I thought I was a bit of a sporty fella. So I kind of just slipped my hand in up the short leg, and hand comes out covered in blood. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to need to do some first aid here. My worker, Clint, I could see the whites of his eyes. He was sort of seeing how much blood there was, and he said, "Do you need any help?" I said, "No, I'm good," because it was a bit embarrassing. So I remember jumping in the ute thinking, okay, to be able to do first aid, I'm going to need to see what's
happened.
But it's a difficult place to observe. So I remember taking my drawers off, knowing that the plumber was going to be on site soon, and I'm thinking he's going to just think, what the hell, what's Matt doing in this truck with no pants on? So
I love that that's what's going through your head.
Yeah.
Not like, holy shit,
I'm bleeding.
I can't be embarrassed by what I've,
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember thinking that, oh shit, the plumber's on site soon. But so anyway, I chucked my feet up on the dashboard and I just adjusted the rear view mirror to try and get a mirror angle.
Yeah.
And as soon as the mirror got the right spot, I was like, oh shit, that's bad. And so straight into the glove box, first aid kit come out. The first bandage was kind of rolled up, and I just used that to kind of plug the hole.
Yeah.
The second bandage, I bandaged it up, and it was still bleeding. So I grabbed a roll of insulation tape, and I was sort of halfway through a roll of tape, taping my Kumaras back on, and my phone rings, and it's my mate, Greg. Gigi rings me, and I can just remember him shouting and screaming something. I'm like, what's going on? Calm down. And he's like, mate, we've got a triple hookup of tuna, and Charlie's just landed his one, and I could hear this tuna thumping on the deck, and the boys were hysterical, right? These are 3 of my mates, and it's like 8:30 in the morning, and I could hear beer bottles clinging together, and I could hear the reels of the other fish hooked up singing, and that's the epiphany you talk of. I thought, shit, it's a beautiful Sunday. My mates are out drinking beers at 8:30 in the morning, catching big tuna, and I'm at work bleeding out from the balls. And I'm just like, I've never had a more literal, someone's sending me a very strong message that maybe this isn't the career path I need to stick on, because I was still years away of working that hard before I could come close to being able to afford to buy a boat. So in between leaving the building site to go to the medical centre, get stitched up, coming back to the building site to pick up all the gear, pick up Clint, drop him at home, drive back to my place. In that drive, I remapped out what my career was going to look like, and it was like, well, I'm not going to carry on roofing. I'll get my brother, who was working for me, to run the business. While I go to maritime school, I'll get my skipper's qualification. I don't need to buy a boat. I can move to the Bay of Islands now and work on someone else's boat. But I've already promised, because I was playing rugby, to go and play for a club over in England. And so I can go over there, catch up with some of my rugby mates, do my OE, get that out of my system. I'll be back by next game fishing season. I'll put the house on the market while I'm gone. That'll be sold. And then I can spend the rest of my life driving someone else's game fishing boat up in the Bay of Islands. So get home, walk in the house. My girlfriend's like, holy shit, there's blood all over you. What happened? I said, never mind that. And I literally told her my plan, selling the house is going on the market tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, slow down. Like, I don't even know if I can get time off work to go to Europe. I'm like, oh, no, you're not coming. Oh. I know. See, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
If I'd driven around the block one more time. But anyway, it all worked out all right because, me and the girlfriend ended up, I did exactly what I said and went overseas and came back and we got married, and I went to the Bay of Islands, and worked as a crewman. I didn't have to buy a boat. It was already there, and I couldn't believe I didn't think of it sooner.
I've just got just one question because this is a great the aftermath of the story is good. How's the recovery when one splits open their nuts on a roof? Is it stitches?
It was just stitches. Yeah, it was just. I don't know what the correct medical term, just saccage, was. So it bleeds a lot and looks really bad. And I. Post that moment, I fathered 2 children, so, you know.
Oh, everything's in order.
And I mean, let's face it, it's not a pretty part of the anatomy to start with. So what's an extra bit of scarring, you know? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Great chat, Brody. Sorry, this is like,
it's fascinating. Yeah. But as you said, like what a yarn. That's like, they don't get much better than that. But the other part of a cool story is of where you sort of embarked on this pretty impressive television journey was like having a bloody, what are they called? Camcorder, you know, like the old
Handycam.
And did you win a I didn't know this. You'd won a competition on Sports Cafe.
On Sports Cafe, yeah. So urban legend would have it that this video that me and my mates sent into Sports Cafe was what kick-started my career. And no, it wasn't. No,
that's a yarn.
We won the competition.
Yeah.
And our prize was a trip to Bluff to go fishing with Mark Ellis, and which for us was just like, you know, he was like cult hero.
Yeah.
You know, Macca. Back in the day, and I've since been lucky to get to know him because we're both ambassadors for Toyota. But that was really cool. But no, there wasn't television networks ringing me going, "Wow, your shitty handycam video of you and your mates being idiots on a boat." But what it did, the way that it did help me end up where I am now is that was the first time I'd gone out and filmed some stuff, and then went through the process of using video to tell a story. Because fishermen love telling yarns, right? And I was writing for fishing magazines, and I would have mates go, "Oh wow, you got the cover story, and that was amazing. Your expose about going to the Wanganellas and catching 40 marlin in 3 days and all of that kind of stuff." But that's only talking to fishermen. And the second thing after the Sports Cafe, well, yes, I enjoyed that process. So I started just filming more stuff, you know, just taking a camera and filming some stuff. And, you know, my wife, you know, also my best mate at this stage, well, kind of always has been since we met, she has got zero interest in fishing. And when I say zero, I mean none. So the only time, so for the first 15 years we were together, she never once asked me, "What did you catch?" You know, when I got back from fishing, it would usually be, "Why are you home so late?" Or if I'd been away filming overseas, the questions would be, "What were the good movies on the plane? Did you get a upgrade? And what did you get from duty free?" Like, no interest, none whatsoever. The only time she started caring about what we caught is when I started taking my son fishing when he was young, because of course, you know. But so back before kids came along, I would show my wife, proud as punch, "Look at that, I've got the cover article in New Zealand Fishing News." I'd say, "Look, take your fee, I made you a cup of tea, just have a read." And I was in some way hoping to get the same sort of reaction as my mates that love fishing, going, "What a great article, beautifully written, great photos." And I would peer around the corner, she's already pushed it to the side, and she's reading Women's Day, zero interest. But a big moment, I guess, was I had some footage that we were filming on a boat, Ultimate Lady, that I was working on, amazing boat. And, you know, I was crewing, kids had come along at this stage, but I'd be away at sea for like up to 10 days at a time. So it was, you know, a lot of work for my wife, living away from family in Northland, looking after the kids. So when I came back, I'd spend as much time with them as I could, but I'd also play back some of the footage that we'd filmed on the trip. And I remember Kayleen walked into the living room, and I didn't know she'd walked in, And she'd been watching the screen for a while. And she's like, what's this show on TV? It's incredible. Look at the size of those fish leaping out of the water. She's like, do we get those in New Zealand, those fish? I was like, that's me. And they're marlin. And she was like, oh, are they the fish you go away and catch? And I was like, you should have told me they were so big. I was like, yeah, I did. Like, you should have told me it was so awesome. And then all of a sudden she's asking questions like, what do you do with it now? And do they get bigger than that? I'm like, well, if this medium, film, can get her attention, it is the way that I can talk to more than just my mates, or I can talk to more than just people that love fishing. So I guess that planted a seed, and then it wasn't that moment I was like, right, I'm going to start a TV show. But that came, and I couldn't tell you whether it was a month or 2 months later, and we were up off North Cape. It was rough as we were supposed to be going to the Three Kings. We couldn't get there, and it was just, I was a bit miserable, and I was missing home. So I always used to just have these incredible butterflies every time we threw the ropes off to go on another trip. And I was thinking about, what are we going to catch? This big adventure we're going on this amazing boat. But I found myself getting that excitement when the boat was turning for home, and I was going to get to see my kids, and I was going to be able to do some work on my property because I'm away at sea all the time. And so I was sitting there thinking, what can I do where I knew I had to be a fisherman, like I had to stay fishing. I knew I couldn't go back to commercial fishing because I was already advocating, against a lot of the practices, and I couldn't afford to buy quota to do long lining or a form of sustainable commercial fishing. So I was like, okay, I want to be a fisherman. I can't carry on this crewing, game fishing caper, because if you get a booking, you go. And I'd missed all of my wedding anniversaries to that date. I'd missed my brothers and sisters' 21sts, like real important things because I'm away at sea. And the idea just came into my head. It's like, well, what if I started a TV show? And from that moment that it popped into my head, I could only see ways that it could be done. Not really all of what a ridiculous notion it was for a roof tiler, come fisherman, to start a television production company. But that's what I did. I went to the bank with a business plan, which was, I'm going to film fishing like it's never been filmed before because I'm a fisherman, and I've got all these new ideas, and it's going to be so good that I'm going to attract sponsors and they'll support it, and that's how I'm going to make money. And the woman I met with at the bank, the loans officer, manager, or whatever she was, laughed at me. Like she was trying to hold it back. And she was like, Matt, she said, I read your proposal and it's kind of neat, but but like I can't in good faith give you money from this business because the chances of success are so low. She said, if you wanted to borrow money to start a roofing business, yes. If you wanted to borrow money to start a fishing business, yes. To start a television production company in Kerikeri, or Taco Bay, which is on the outskirts.
Oh, I love that place.
You know Taco Bay?
I've been there.
Oh, beautiful, eh?
That's the one that you got to pay $5 to get across.
Yes. True, because you go through Māori land to get down there.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that was, I lived just up the road from there.
Oh,
yeah. Could go pig hunting straight out the back, and paradise. So we were living out there, and I'm like, well, I'll just build a studio out off the back of my Skyline garage, which is what I actually did. And when I say built, I mean hand dug the footings. Didn't have enough money to buy pre-cut, so just pack of 4x2, and I literally built our studio from bits of 4x2 and concrete, and got some mates to come over and help. But she said, well, that's the bad news, is that we can't give you a business loan. The good news is you've got enough equity in your house, and we can just refinance your house. So I just said, right, where do I sign? I said, look, 80 grand should get me a few cameras and bits and pieces. That was the easy bit, signing up for the money. The hard bit was come home and telling my wife that we've got, at that stage we had a baby girl and another one on the way, and I've said, look, I'm throwing in my job, our single income, and we've got more debt now, but I'm going to create this business and it's going to be really awesome. And the way that she actually, and I've heard her repeat it to friends, and she said there was the exact same look in his eye when he came in from roofing, covered in blood, saying that we're going to move to the Bay of Islands and that's what's going to happen. So she said there was no point getting upset about it because, well, I'd already signed.
Yeah.
Anyway, the money was going to happen, but and when I look in a bit more of a lucid state now, because I was hyped up at the time, this is what I'm going to do, I look back and think what a massive thing that was for her to go, wow.
But also, when you reflect on these sort of like key moments in your life, is there a couple of like threads of who you are as a person that you go, like, is it sheer passion? Are there words that you go, it's because I've been this way for, like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's buzzwords like determined, and I would say that yes, I am determined. My wife describes me as determined, relentless.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just like, that's what I want to do. I'm just going to figure out a way to get there. And I mentioned it earlier, like, I can see more reasons how it can happen, and I just think that's normal thinking, because that's the way that I'm wired, right? But there's other people, and people that I'm related closely to, and it frustrates me when they say they want to do something and then they talk about all the reasons why it's hard.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to my kids, well, that's what you want to do. Like, shit, look at your old man. I had all these obstacles, but it's different wiring. And I guess that would be my biggest blessing, and at times a curse, that I just go and do it, give it a crack.
Talk to me about that bit that you mentioned earlier, where you did reach a point. So, like, the television career and like the ITM fishing show and subsequent shows has been not only a success here, but everyone knows, like, it's a household television show. It's as famous as Fair Go.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that moment that you mentioned where you did. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but lost your way / the focus shifted from the love to the there, and how you got out of that.
I did. So the best way I can explain it is that, yes, I've always loved fishing. And when we go out and film, I love it, but it's work. Okay?
Yeah.
So it comes with this pressure element. And when you're signed up to deliver, I think back now at the period where I was making 26 episodes a year for New Zealand television. And I was not only the talent, but I was organising the shoots and the gear and the boats. I owned the company that was producing it and ultimately responsible for getting it to the network on time. And then I go and sign a contract with Discovery Channel to make 6 a year for Discovery and 6 a year for Animal Planet. And it gave me, saying yes to things gives you lots of opportunities, and I wouldn't take any of that back. But the negatives of having that pressure started weighing it. Like, in a moment of clarity, I thought to myself, man, what does success look like? Like, the more apparently successful I get, which is the more TV deals I sign, the more money I'm getting paid, all of that stuff, the less days I go fishing.
Yeah.
In a year, and people have got this illusion, and to this very day I got stopped at the airport. Beautiful day today, so thank you, by the way, for booking me today. Like, this always friggin' happens to me.
Yeah, you
I know.
want to be out there.
I've just travelling here today, I've heard, look at the weather, what are you doing? How come you're not, like, people just think, nice weather, Matt Watson's out fishing.
Yeah.
But of course, reality is you've got all these commitments to make the whole thing work, right?
Yeah.
So, and it just came to the point where all of those other things, not just the pressure to get the production done, but by the time in your calendar you put in all the store openings you got to do for sponsors and the events and stuff, I was looking at it going, I couldn't remember the last time I went out fishing just because I loved it, just because. And I felt it was taking too much away. And it was just that chat with my wife when she said, well, what do you love about it? And I said, it's being out there with other people. And she said, well, why don't you make a show about that? And that conversation was what started ITM Hook Me Up, which was, a variation where it was a mix of everyday Kiwis that could apply and a few celebs as well that just had this thing they wanted to do. And instead of doing 13-hour-long or 26 halves, we took it down to 10 hours. And it was still, don't get me wrong, it presented new challenges having to deal with other people as well. But I was getting more that was where it turned the corner. It was like, oh, I'm just living off of their energy now, and the pressure isn't on me to somehow, on a day we've just flown halfway across the world, there's a storm happening, but I've got to deliver a giant tuna and it's got to be filmed, and then we've got to get back to New Zealand and have it cut for TV. So it took away all of that. So yeah, I think, I hope I've answered the question. It was that, it was just that pressure, and it was like, this is taking too much away from the thing that I love the most. So, you know, and that changing the way that I did things and making ITM hook me up gave me an extra 4 or 5 years on telly I wouldn't have got otherwise.
Yeah. And so when you think about, I mean, this is a real cliche word as well, but like, and I kind of, it depends what mood I'm in, what I think about the word balance, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a bit naff, but it's never linear figuring out like what is where you want to sit with things. And I don't know whether you think, I had someone ask me, like a person I look up to, ask me about, like, it was probably a couple of months ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. So he said to me, what are all of the things that you're doing? I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'm working away on this, I kind of want to do this. And he's like, okay, cool, all good, great. How long do you want to be doing all of those things? Like, how long have you got hustling? And I was like, oh, I haven't really given that much thought. And then he's like, well, maybe you should, because I dare say you don't want to be burning the candle with all of those things. Like, you might love it now, but do you what do you think about in 5 years, 10 years time? And I was like, shit, that's like, I love it now, but I go through little cycles of burnout, and you go, mate, what? But it's finding the thing. I don't know, like, so you find you go back to the thing that you're the most passionate about, and then try and make that the thing that's going to work, right? That's sort of where I'm sitting with that. And you will find, is there a question, or is that a statement?
No.
I guess my question to that is then, you still do end up with success because it always comes back round to the thing you love and evolving what it might look like in the next part of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't value, I don't look at success so much these days in what my career has done or how much money I'm making. Let's be real, money affords you choices in life, and it helps you support people that you care about. So money's important in that respect. Balance, I don't think I've got it yet. And I wish, I'm 50 now, and you would have thought I would be able to impart some sage advice to self-employed people or motivated, passionate people. Not really. I wouldn't say to people, look, be careful saying yes, or you could end up burnt out like I was after Series 15, which was, I don't know, around 2016, 17, because I did get burned out, yes, but I found something and said yes to a few more things, and I carried on. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what balance is. I don't, looking back, I don't know whether I got it wrong with the amount of time I put into my career, which has given our family the opportunities that it's got now, or the perhaps the time that I missed with my kids and my wife. I don't know whether that was right or wrong, but I made the best. Every day that I got up, I just made the best decision I could at the time. So there's no point relitigating it all. I think you can only have regrets if you're ever dishonest or rip someone off, but if you make the best decision at the time. So yeah, I've got no advice. I'm pretty shit like that. I'm just winging it. I'm not a life coach. I've never had a life coach. Maybe I should have one. But
I think, what did you learn from after burnout? Like, what did you learn when you knew? Like, did you know that you were burnt out at the time?
No, because you're always just trying to fix something. So, what I learned is that when you're busy and in the middle of something that you feel is very important, it is important at the time. But when it's all set, it's like this sponsorship deal. If we don't get this done and this look after the sponsor, we could lose them, and the sky would fall down. And and it was actually really like when COVID came along, and it did feel not just for my business but lots of people like the sky was falling down. But then there's this just quiet space, and then you're at home with these people called your family, and you get a bit of time to think. I'm like, what's it? All of those things that I thought 6 months ago that were so vitally important in my business, and that I was bloody, I was on everyone's case at work about how important it all was. I just think you need to give yourself that quiet space to think sometimes, and I think motivated people like myself, because I would just describe myself as pretty motivated to a point where it can get unhealthy, is that you do need to listen to people when they say, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
My wife's always telling me, why don't you go fishing this weekend? Why don't you just go out, with your mates or something? And I'll be like, oh, because I've promised to go and open this or do this speak engagement or something like that. And she's like, when you book those things in, book in a weekend that's untouchable. But I've got this thing where I don't want to let people down.
Yeah.
And I think that would be my biggest curse, is each person that asks me to do something, be it a sponsor or a charity or even an individual, and there's some people doing it really tough, can you help out a bit? On their own, it's not a very big thing to do. But when you've got a lot of these things and you drop them all in your calendar, you just don't have... And in doing those things, you actually, you'd probably know it fills your cup as well. But, it just got to the point I wasn't out doing the thing that is in my DNA to do, which is go fishing, not take it that seriously. Didn't really matter if we didn't catch anything or not, and have a beer at the end of it all.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased to report I'm turning that corner.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've probably in the last 12 months, I've probably done more just days out fishing with mates or family, or than probably in the previous 7 or 8 years combined.
See, that I was going to say, look, if I could impart some of my wisdom upon you, you might already do this. What I do with, I have a Google Calendar, so I put in at the start of each week, I put in my my run or a sauna or I put them in, and that's in. And once it's in, nothing will outbook it. So maybe you could do that where you have you book in your day and it's in a calendar and it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, well, you know what? I just did that for the first time about a few days ago. So this Monday coming, because I'm down, I've got work commitments across this weekend, and they're fun work commitments, don't get me wrong, but still it's not my choice, and I've got to turn
You're
up,
on.
show it. Yeah, I'm on, I'm in front of people. So I literally, and funny, like admitting to doing, like, I typed it in and I just called it Matt's Mental Health Day, and we've got like a shared calendar at work, and I thought, oh no, that sounds a bit wanky, like I don't want to share that with the rest of the team. They might think, that I'm a sook or something. So I just Matt's working from home, I'll zoom in for the morning meeting. So I've it's not a full day off, but our Monday meeting I'm going to do from Zoom, and then I'm going to do some landscaping.
Yeah.
And as I say that aloud, it makes me feel happy that I've made that commitment. I'm not going into the office. Everyone else in there, we've got production on, can deal with that. And I'm going to build a wall of made out of sleepers out in my yard, and probably have a beer at the end of it.
Such an active relaxer though, eh?
I am. Oh no, I literally can't.
Yeah.
I literally can't sit down and read a book. I've tried.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to. I'm just reading words on a page while my mind's going, oh, you could build this in the shed. You could build a different underwater housing. Like it's I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if I'm actually doing that thing, I'm all right. And relaxing for me is doing the thing, but no one else is asking me to do something at the same time. And that for me is relaxing.
Well, keep up that calendar thing. Maybe the next time, just sit with it being Matt's Mental Health Day.
Yeah.
And colour code it differently.
Yeah.
Because I've got all my colour code, like blue and purple is work, yellow's other shit, red's fun, you know?
Oh, so red's are fun, your fun colour.
Red's like exercise. It's like,
okay.
Boom. Yeah.
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 So red's my shit, this shit's got to be done colour.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
It probably should be, shouldn't it? But I think it's just because it's bright, so I'm like, there it is. Hey, are you the worst person to go fishing with though? Like if you're your mates, are people like, oh, like people trying to follow you out on the boats and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I get a bit of that. Like that can be frustrating, and back when we had a batch at a little place, Tukiro Beach up in Northland, and it would be like might be 4 or 5 days where my son, particularly when he was really young, 6, 7 years old, all he wanted to do was go fishing with Dad, and so we'd get up, we'd go down to the boat ramp, and I'd go to sign-written vehicle. And there would be 50 kids, and my poor son would drop lip. I just want to go fishing with my dad, and he'd be like, "How come you're talking to all those other kids?" I'm like, "I can't tell them to bugger off," like. Yeah. And then same when we got back. So that was tough, and funnily enough, like he's 20 now. We actually haven't had that chat, but about how shit that must have been for him, because I'd spent so much time away. Finally, it's summer holiday, we're going to the beach with Dad. We're going to go fishing every day, and I guess because I'm recognisable, particularly my boats, sign-written boats, it did take that away. So yes, there was that. But to answer your question about am I bad to go fishing with, you probably need to ask my mates. But just on the weekend just gone, I was saying before, the weather was terrible. Had a couple of keen guys, actually top footy players, and when they were on the boat, they were like filming on their phones, this is like life goal, fishing with you and all this sort of carry. I'm like, okay, just cast your line. He went to cast and he had his bail arm closed, so he completely cooked it.
Yeah.
And he goes, I've never done that, but I was so nervous casting in front of you. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then his mate turned around and said, it's like teeing off in front of Tiger Woods. And I was like, oh, that's a kind thing to say, but like, it's, to me, I was just stoked to have a couple of keen lads with some good energy on the boat, which actually made the day for me. So yeah, they seemed pretty happy. I don't know. I think now I'm probably a way more enjoyable guy to go fishing with than if we were filming an episode and we had a 4-day shoot and it's day 4 and we haven't caught the fish that we needed to catch, and a fish got away because someone did something wrong or something like that. Maybe I wasn't terribly kind about it. But to be honest, I've never been a screamer or a yeller or someone that would put someone down.
Yeah.
I think I would let them know that I was a bit upset about it, but I've never been a name caller, anything like that. Nah.
So the key is just the people, couple of cold ones, maybe like a bloody swordfish mojo.
Swordfish mojo.
I was going to get that in
great
there.
segue. Nice segue.
But we'll go there. But like a couple of cold ones. Music. You got beats on the boat.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's all part of it. All of these things make it not work.
Yeah.
You've
even got me wanting to go.
Yeah.
You've even got me wanting to come up.
But it's innately within everybody. You know? That process of going out, and it might not be a comfort zone for you being out on the water, but I've seen people saying, no, I can't do this, like literally, women in particular, like, no, I can't do this, it's not for me. And then they've got a fish on the line, a marlin, for instance, and they get this surge of adrenaline. They look at me like, what do I have to do? I'm like, do this. And just on that, new anglers, particularly women, are great listeners.
Right.
Okay,
funny that.
No. They are, because I think because they're out of their comfort zone and they're like, right, and you can see it in their eyes and in their body language, like, okay, I am going to do this. Tell me what to do. And I'll be okay, get your shoulders square, lean back, don't use your arms to pull on the rod, which is the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
You use your legs, and they're within minutes, their technique is perfect. Mm-hmm. A guy that's been fishing for 15 or 20 years and he's caught a 2,000 snapper and he hooks his first marlin, he's going to try and pull it in like he pulls a snapper in. So he's going to use his arms and his big muscles, and all of a sudden he's twisting his back and he's hunched over and he's just trying to muscle it. I'm like, mate, you're going to get a sore back. You don't actually use your arms to pull the rod, which sounds counterintuitive, but and they think they're listening, but they're not, because they're going by their muscle memory of the last fish they caught. Whereas it's actually, we had a woman end up on a boat, a girlfriend of one of the crew when I was charter fishing, and she'd never caught a fish in her life, like a fish. By the end of that trip, she'd caught 26 marlin, And to this day, she was the best angler I've seen ever, because she had no predisposed ideas on how to do it. She just listened.
Yeah.
And she was a strong woman too. But yeah, so there you go.
Might
I don't
be
even
good.
know. I just went on a tangent from that last question.
I don't know.
Didn't I?
I can't think. I don't know if I've caught. I don't think I've caught a fish.
You never.
I don't think so. I can't remember catching a fish. So if I didn't catch it, if I haven't caught a fish, I think I will. And
Well, you have to now.
yeah,
You have to now. We've spoken about it. I've got a thing where if I say something aloud that I'm going to do something, you then have to back it up.
no, I'm a bit the same because I'm
Yeah.
competitive and I'm like, I've got strong legs so I can stand there.
Yeah.
And I'm already going to do the question at the restaurants and whatnot now. So maybe this summer I have to catch a fish.
Yeah, you don't even have to wait till summer.
Okay.
Just next opportunity, say yes or go and look for it, because there could be that incredible fisherwoman lying dormant inside you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes with a caveat. Like there is the saying that give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Well, it actually should be teach a man to fish, and he's probably going to spend all his money on a boat, neglect his family, and drink lots more beer than he otherwise would have.
Yes, very much
Yeah,
so.
so just be very go into it eyes open that it can be very addictive once you catch that first one.
Yeah, okay, I'll bear that in mind. A person that has been a beautiful thread through this kōrero is your wife, Kayleen.
Yep.
Talk to me about how monumentally important she has been in your life.
Yeah, well, I know that now. I thought I knew it when I was young, but I just think, well, me in particular, but I think probably most guys are a bit dumb when they're young. I certainly was, and you talk about growing up, and you kind of felt like, we got married at 25, I think, which, we were like the first out of our mates. It's pretty early. Even back then, most people are getting hitched in their 30s now. But I thought I was grown up at 25. I wasn't, because I didn't really appreciate, particularly once kids came along, what a big sacrifice that is with career and all that other sort of stuff. So now I definitely recognise it, and we don't share a whole lot of common interests. I think, I look back at it, and while particularly when money was tight, when I started this business and we didn't have a lot at all, like we were literally seeing whether we could afford nappies that week. So in that respect, I'd say children created some of having stresses. Like we didn't really fight up until we had kids, and then we started having fights. And I think there was probably more money was tight, stressful situation. But I think our kids have become our common interest. Like Kayleen's not interested in fishing. I'm not interested in shopping. Right. So there was never this thing that we went and did together that we were both equally vested in and enjoyed. It would be like, she'd be like, oh, okay, I'll come and watch a rugby game with you if you want, but now you owe me and we've got to go to the, it was like this trade-off thing. But yeah, she's like, and it does sound cliche, I think the rock is the word that's used. I kind of say foundation. Like, it's easy to be brave and go and do things like, people say, that was mad. Where did you get the balls to go and do that or start that venture? It's really easy when you know that the big thing in your life is taken care of and you can trust that it's going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Back to the beer.
Yeah.
Swordfish Mojo.
Yeah.
Is what's it's not made of fish, surely not.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
But it's I started it because, well, firstly I like beer.
Yep.
And I think beer and fishing just go hand in hand. But I just saw an opportunity. The whole beer world a few years ago was going down this big craft beer route, and I've had a couple of good craft beers, don't get me wrong, but for every one good one, there's a dozen that just, oh my God, like.
I'm not a craft beer fan.
Yeah, and yet your mainstream beers, once upon a time, Lion Red was like a hero brand for working class men, and there was Spates, the Southern Man campaign, and all these big companies stopped investing in their drinkers and creating a brand that was for them. So I thought, well, fishermen like beer. I'm a fisherman. I'll create this beer, and what I'll do to make it different is that I'll put salt water in it.
Oh, so it's got salt water
in it. Yeah, I personally gather. So in every batch, I personally gather salt water. Now it's not just any old salt water. I get it at the peak bite time. So something magical happens, and you can talk to any fisher in the ocean. Bite time, everything comes to life. Like the ocean gets this new energy. Even the birds get up, start working. Bait fish come to the surface. Everything starts feeding. So no one knows what it is or what triggers it, but something magical happens. So that's when I get that magic, and so the beers, that's the mojo that goes into Swordfish Mojo. So it's only a little bit of salt water, but what it does, it's obviously a talking point. There's not such a volume of salt water in there that you're picking seaweed out, right? It's just a touch.
It's not a gargle.
No, it's not. So a bit of salt water from the bite time goes into every batch, and what I can then say to people is, look, hey, you better look after the ocean because the ocean's going in your beer.
Yeah.
And actually, when you drink the beer, it looks after the ocean because we give a kickback to Legacy that's trying to restore abundance to the sea.
Yeah.
So it's just
full circle.
It's this whole story thing, and it's like it's a point of difference, but it's also a very good beer.
Yeah.
Like it's brewed by award-winning brewers, and I paned over the recipe, so. We claim it to be the most tasty low-carb lager around, and unlike what all the big boys are doing, we're giving back to looking after the thing we care about, which is the sea.
Yeah. I love it.
Thanks, yeah.
I'm going to give you your Kiwi Yarns quick-fire questions.
Okay.
What kai is on the menu for your final feed?
Boil up.
Boil up?
Yeah, boil up. Watercress, yeah.
Beautiful. If I gave you a magic wand to change one thing in Aotearoa, what would it be?
Fisheries management.
Yeah, I thank you for teaching us all so much today. That's just, I'm with you. Your favourite Kiwi artist or song?
Troy Kingy.
Troy Kingy?
Yeah.
He's the man, eh?
He is. He's a dude, man.
Yeah. Where would you love to go in Aotearoa that you haven't been?
Catlins.
Same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd love to go there and watch the big wave surfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just rack my brain, and I think it's the only place in New Zealand I haven't been.
Yeah.
So I've got to go there.
Yeah, mine used to be Stewart Island, and then I've been there twice, and
okay.
Now I'm going for my third year this year, so I love it down there.
Okay, yeah. So note to Catlins, get some Swordfish Mojo, and I'm coming.
Yeah, shit, yeah, that's great. Now this one, you're stranded on the Auckland Islands. Have you been there, by the way?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Well, there's one called Disappointment Island. What are the 5 things you'd take to avoid being stranded and disappointed?
Ooh, some fishing gear. Mm-hmm. A decent knife.
Yep.
A GoPro.
Yeah.
Because that's... it would kill me to catch an awesome fish, and there was never a record of it. Even if it's like my message in a bottle thing.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we found this corpse in a GoPro.
Yeah.
Whoa, that guy got some sick fish. And I like... So what are we up to? 3. Is there any lemon trees growing there yet? Or
I don't think so. It's pretty cold.
Okay, and if it's cold, no, a frying pan in that case.
Yeah.
If I'm not, and a guitar.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I reckon you'd be sweet down there for a while.
Yeah, I'd be good. I always used to watch Survivor.
Yeah.
And look at all these people complaining about being on a tropical island, having to catch fish to survive. I'd be like, that's like freaking Club Med. Yeah. Simon, how much does it cost to go there and stay in a hut where there's no phone, and you just go and catch fish and cook on a fire?
Yeah, you'd smoke it.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Thank you so much. What a bloody marvellous chat. I've learnt a lot. You've probably given myself and lots of people something to think about, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you for coming on Kiwi Yarns.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. That was Kiwi Yarns with Matt Watson, and we'll see you back next week.
Kiwi Yarns with Brodie Kane.